Hello and welcome. Today I am going to show you how to do the burrito roll method. I'm using the Woodland Belle bodice, and the Woodland Belle typically uses sleeves, but I'm going to show you a sleeveless version. I'm at the point in the instructions of where I have attached the front and back mane and the front and back lining at the shoulder seams, and then attached them all around the neckline. So we have a complete bodice turned inside out. And now we're ready to show you how to nicely enclose the arm sleeves using the burrito roll method. First of all, keep it right side out. So this is my mane, this is my lining, and it's all right side out. Nicely pressed around the neckline. Lay it out flat like this, still keeping right sides up. Take one side, I'm going to use the right side, and you roll. Tightly roll and keep rolling until you get to a point right about here where then we separate the mane from the lining on the front and the back. And when we separate it, then we're going to pull it over like this. So we're going to open it up. We see the wrong sides and enclose that roll that we have, that we've rolled up. And then we're going to put right sides together. Match up the raw edges, right sides together, pin or clip, making sure to line up those shoulder seams right there in the middle. And we're going to pin and clip all the way around the armhole. The trick with this is making sure that your roll is tight enough inside here so that when you're sewing with typical 1/2 inch seam allowance that you don't catch that roll that's inside there. So I can feel that right there, and make sure that as you are sewing along this arm right here, this arm curve, that's where you're going to be sewing, is right along the arm curve, not down the sides yet, just the arm curve. And as you're sewing that curve, be sure and feel that roll so that you don't catch that in your seam allowance. So I'm going to go ahead and take this now and sew the arm curve. All right, now we're back, and as you can see, I have sewed all the way along the arm curve. So what's next is I'm going to use my pinking shears to trim the seam allowance and clip the curves all at the same time. If you don't have a pinking shears, you can just trim the seam allowance to about half and then make sure you clip little V's in the corner of the arm curves. That's just going to make sure that when you press it, it's going to lay nice and flat. So I'm just going to use my pinking shears, go all the way around my arm curve. There, and now I've trimmed that up. So this is the point where then we pull out our roll. So our roll has been stuck up in there. We've sewed and just pull it out. And when you pull it out, you'll notice that you have a nice enclosed arm curve. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and press this out so that it's nice and neat, and then we will go ahead and do the other side. All right, as you can see, I have nicely pressed the armhole. So what I'm going to do now is then we need to enclose this side. So keeping it still, again, right side up, we're going to take and roll from the already finished side. So do just like we did before, roll it up nice and tight until we get to about here again, and then we flip this over, matching up right sides and raw edges, clip right along that arm curve again, matching up those shoulder seams. And remembering, just to be sure again, when we sew this, to feel for that roll inside of there, because that roll is enclosed again, and then making sure we don't catch that in our seam allowance. So I'm going to take this now and sew it up, and I'll come back. Here we are, back, and I have sewn the arm curve and clipped that seam allowance with my pinking shears. And here we are, then we just pull it out again. And when it's all pulled out, you will see that we now have perfectly enclosed armholes on our sleeveless bodice. At this point, you could go ahead and top stitch around the neckline. I wouldn't recommend doing the sleeves just yet, because what I'm going to show you next is how to attach then these side seams. So we've got this bodice. I'm not going to press it for right now, just for the sake of the video, but normally you would want to make sure you press out that side that we just unfolded. But I'm going to show you how to do these side seams. So we've got our front and our back, and our main and our lining. So we want to open up the main from the lining on both the front and the back. And you want to take them and then match them up right at that point under the arm curve. So we've got right sides together, lining to lining, right sides together, main to main. And we matched it right up there, right where that seam meets each other. And we're going to want to clip or pin these sides together. And then we'll sew along that edge, and we'll do the same thing with the other side. So same thing on the other side. We've got right sides together, lining to lining, main to main, backs and fronts. So again, this is my front, this is my back, right sides together, meet in the middle, pin or clip, and sew your 1/2 inch seam allowance straight down there. So now I have sewed up those sides, and then I pressed the seams open on each of the sides. So then now we can flip those sides down and they'll lay nice and flat here. So our sides are all enclosed, our arms are all enclosed, and at this point you could top stitch around the armholes if you wanted to, but if you choose not to, that's fine too. And here is our completed sleeveless bodice for the woodland belle, or for whatever pattern that uses a lined bodice to make sleeveless using the burrito method. Thank you for watching today.